This is the first session for me attempting 10,000 kettlebell swings in the space of a month using a 24 kilogram kettlebell. Why am I doing this? Well, so what on earth made me decide to do 10,000 kettlebell swings? And what was the inspiration? Well, when I first got into strength training, I used to read a lot of T Nation, Testosterone Nation, just because it was a blog that kind of focused more on strength training than bodybuilding, which has always kind of been my jam. And I remember coming across this article by Dan John called the 10,000 Kettlebell Challenge, and reading it and thinking, that sounds incredibly difficult. Now at the time I was more concerned with building my squat, building my deadlift, building my bench press. So I was like, sounds like a lot of cardio, and just moved on. Flash forwards 10 years, and I saw one of my buddies on Instagram, shout out to Coach John Black, was doing 100 kettlebell swings every day in solidarity with one of his clients, just to kind of help her keep her workouts up and keep her active. And it just reminded me of this 10,000 kettlebell challenge. So off to Google I went, and I found this old article from 10 years ago, and I sent it through to him, and I was like, have you thought about doing this? And his response was, I will do it if you do it. My competitive nature kicked in, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. Now, this fits in really well with what needs to happen with my training at the moment. You see, as a person that specializes in strength coaching, I am very adept to being able to put together programming to get people stronger. I can write strength and hypertrophy blocks in my sleep. However, my ability to write a conditioning block is not so great. Whenever I set out to do conditioning over a long enough period of time, I will eventually end up lifting too heavy and take out quite a bit of the conditioning aspect of it. This program seemed absolutely perfect because it forced me to use a single 24 kg kettlebell, and that was it. You're sticking to that. The only parameter I had control of in order to better myself is to better the times every time I trained. Also, because I have never put as much emphasis on my fitness levels as I have on my strength levels, I am considered pretty much a beginner at this. So I can expect some newbie gains to happen. So my rate of progress, whereas a squat, bench, or deadlift, I might be lucky to put 5 kgs on my PB per year, my rate of progression when it comes to conditioning should be like a newbie training response. It's completely novel to me. I should be able to get heaps out of it really quickly and see a lot of improvement in a single month. And basically, the reason this fits in my training right now is, as of recording this, it is currently November, and in April next year, your boy's getting married. And this is probably the one time where I'm ever going to have professional photography. So I figured, hey, I want to lean out my jawline. I want to look good in wedding clothes. I'm going to do a little bit of weight loss and stick to it. So prior to this, I have been in a caloric deficit for a couple of months, and I've come down from like 93 kilograms to 88. So in my final strength block, I could see I was beginning to lose strength. My numbers for my main lifts were going down. Now this is expected when you're in a caloric deficit, but it's also the point in which I normally decide it's not worth it, and I either go into maintenance or I go into a surplus to rebuild my strength because I am performance motivated. This time I decided, no, I only get one wedding, hopefully, and I was going to continue to lose weight and get into the shape that I wanted to. So in order to do this, I A, needed to follow someone else's programming, and B, disconnect from my emotional attachment to my numbers. So this plan was a great opportunity to do so because you're just using one 24 kg kettlebell. There is some strength numbers in it, but they take a secondary seat to that 24 kg kettlebell that you have to swing 10,000 times. And the only metric you are trying to increase is the speed at which you're doing it, which 100% can be done in a caloric deficit and is a bit more mind over matter than it is when it comes to getting yourself to like move heavy weight. The style of training is just very bizarre, so I have zero expectations for how long it's going to take me to get through the first 500 that I have to do in today's session. Could it take me half an hour? Could it take me 2 hours? I guess we'll find out. But the goal is, session by session, to try cut down on how long it takes. Okay, so I'm starting the timer. I'm going to be tracking how my progress goes by how quickly I get through these sets, because for the next 4 weeks the weight actually stays the same on the kettlebell. I'm just wanting to get my conditioning up. So every single thing is made up of a cluster set, which starts with an amount of kettlebell swings, so starting with 10 swings and then into a low volume compound movement that's a bit heavier. So we're going to do a bunch of swings in a low volume compound movement. Today is a front squat, so I'm going to start with 10 swings. Perfect. And then just one of these. Then I've got 15 swings and then 2 of those, and that's part 2 of the cluster. I'm just going to keep on doing this till I hit 50 swings, then I reset, do that 5 times, we have 500 swings, one workout. Wish me luck.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python. Grab what I like real fast, stroke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest.
So that's day 1 of the 10,000 kettlebell challenge done. That's 500 reps. Take it to the bank. It actually, the conditioning wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I could probably go heavier on that front squat, I definitely could, but I had no idea how much it was going to fry me, so I just kind of went light on the front squat. I'll definitely push those numbers next time. The thing that I really didn't expect was how bad the grip was going to get, right? So my kettlebells are fat grip kettlebells. Come back around here. They're fat grip kettlebells, so they're very difficult to hold on to. It's never really been a problem because I've never tried to do 500 reps in one session, but alas, here we are. I'm even struggling to hold this gimbal out at this point. So, quite a good starting point. I think I can hit it a bit harder. It'll be interesting seeing with the frequency if I can keep up with the grip, because I was already having to break up those sets of 50 because I couldn't hold on to it for 50 reps. But I always say, like, if it's uncomfortable, that means there's room for adaptation. So I'm not very good at tracking aesthetic goals because normally I focus on strength. So if my strength goes up, I've done the right thing. So therefore I've already forgotten that I'm supposed to have taken before photos to see if this conditioning block actually changes my body composition. Now some things to note is I am in a caloric deficit, so I probably am going to lose weight no matter what, but I'm wondering if this new training stimulus is really going to push it along, and if there's going to be an interesting outcome. Might not change much, might be awesome, who knows? This is currently what I look like. So,
Do a spin.
Do a spin? I gotta get the... Don't know how to pose. The tricep one. Boom! Which definitely won't be given to me by kettlebell swings. Back. I hold a lot of my fat over here. So we'll see if I can reduce my overall body fat. It's always the last to go. If I could have like better abs by Christmas, I'd be quite happy. Let's go. So we're on to day 2 of week 2, which means I have so far done 3,000 kettlebell swings. We're gonna add another 500 to that today. So it's actually been simultaneously really much easier than I thought, and really difficult at the same time. So within the session, I find like my hands and my grip just start failing. I seldom manage to get through like my sets of 50 unbroken, but I'm getting more and more sets of 50 unbroken. And what's really just hindering me is my ability to grip onto a kettlebell. Like I'm worried it's gonna go flying out of my hand. All right, so we're gonna start the timer. 10 kettlebell swings, inch and overhead press.
7, 8, 9, 10.
That's 3,010 kettlebell swings now. 1 overhead press. And now I've got 15, 2, 25, 3, 50, and that's a cluster set. I'm gonna get after it because I gotta beat my last time. Let's go.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, doing no cap. Only God wants you.
So we are on week 3, day 4, which means up to now I have done 6,500 swings. We are in the final stretch of this 10,000 swings. I'm doing it outside today because I quite like to get the ring dips done outside. It's a little bit overcast, but as the weather's getting hotter, this is also getting more difficult. So it's nice to step out of the house. So also another fun fact today is my 5-year anniversary with Sophie. So let's get after this.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check is I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep.
So we made it. Day 20. That means at this very moment I have so far done 9,500 kettlebell swings. I have 500 more to go, and that's today. Today's workout doesn't have a compound movement in it. It's just straight swings. It's supposedly the easiest day, but because I put pressure on myself to get it done in the least amount of time, today, and it's my final chance, is a day I'm gonna try get sub 20 minutes. Last week on this day, I think I got 21.5 minutes, but that means that every 4 minutes I have to have done 100 swings. I don't even know if that's possible, and we're gonna give it a go. This challenge has been fantastic. I am so invigorated to pick up a barbell again, but I can already see that my work capacity has gone up. So I'm looking forward to see how this month of just balls to the wall, breathing, sweating, and dying is going to translate to my work capacity for whatever my next training block is. So, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's get this last session done.
Guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression,
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep, move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast.
I am such a procrastinator. It has taken me 6 months to come back to film the outro for this video, but here we are. Obviously, a few things have changed. 1, I don't have as much hair, and 2, I did end up getting married, and it was the best day of my life. But Looking back on the kettlebell challenge is actually quite useful now that all this time has passed, because I got to see how much it affected my body composition and how that composition actually ended up lasting long term. So I think the challenge was completely successful. It did way more for me than I thought it was going to. In total, I went from 87.5 kilograms all the way down to 84.7, I believe. So in the space of a month, that's a hell of a lot of weight loss. Furthermore, I seem to have held onto a lot of muscle during this weight loss. Normally when you have such an extreme weight loss, you tend to lose a lot of fat, but also a lot of muscle at the same time. But for some reason, there was enough resistance in the combination of the compound movements and all those kettlebell swings that my body actually held onto muscle quite well throughout the entire process. What amazed me most was the ability to increase my performance session to session. Getting in 500 swings in sub 20 minutes seemed absolutely impossible in week 1. But I totally did it in my 4th week. And it was really motivating to see those numbers go up so quickly, especially because with strength training, things can get a bit stagnant and plateaus can be quite hard to break. So it was a nice change of pace. The biggest change that I found that I was not expecting was actually my mobility. My mobility through my hips in regards to moving around and lifting after the experience has been so good. And I guess it's getting that spinal flexion, going through that whole range of motion, really greasing that hip hinge move. And unlike, say, a deadlift, which is also a hip hinge move, I think there's more extension at the bottom of a kettlebell swing, which really has carried over quite nicely into other things. Because I've always been terrible with that movement, like triple extension. Which begs the question to ask, do I think other people should embark on this 10,000 swing challenge? Yes, but with a caveat. You see, I have really good fundamentals, and realistically, I did this entire challenge with a 24 kg kettlebell. My deadlift is around 260, so a 24 kg kettlebell is less than 10% of my max deadlift weight. So it was going to be a hip hinge movement I was always going to be able to handle with ease. I think if you are an experienced lifter, this could be a really cool way to test your mettle. It is a short enough period that you can grit your teeth and get it done, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. However, if you are a new lifter with underdeveloped movement patterns and even just underdeveloped muscles in your hip hinge, I imagine you are probably going to start suffering some pretty bad overuse. So, if you are newer to weightlifting, I would recommend using a lighter kettlebell than you want to and just focus on grooving that movement pattern. After all, this is a conditioning challenge, not a strength challenge, so the aim of the game should be to bring your conditioning up. And conditioning varies based on your strength levels. It should be challenging, but you shouldn't be having form breakdown by the end of it. And I think that in itself can be very difficult to judge when you're doing 500 reps, trying not to have form breakdown. Because it's such a high frequency plan that if you have form breakdown in day 1, by day 5, you are going to give yourself hell, and that fatigue is just going to compound over the entire month. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I have written an entire blog that goes more in depth for week by week in what I went through. I would highly recommend you read it. It's especially if you're a bit of a nerd and you want to go through all the data, because I tracked every single metric possible in this entire thing. Thank you for watching this video. Please, this has taken me so long to do, so if you have made it this far, like this video, subscribe. I'm making a concerted effort from now to try and put out videos more often. I'm going to be fiddling with a few different formats and kind of find something that's most comfortable for me. But I've always wanted to build up a YouTube channel, and hey, now's the
I thought I was filming you do a workout.